sailing around the world. A family that dreamed of going to the Great Barrier Reef and back. But this wasn't just an adventure. It was a new beginning in a life that would otherwise have fallen to pieces. They'd passed through Gibraltar in February and spent a few months in the Mediterranean. It wasn't hard to find destinations: the Riviera, Sicily, the Messina Strait, and then the whole odyssey of the Greek islands. Outside Rhodes, for the first time, they saw dolphins playing by the bow. Near the Balearic Islands there'd been a few days of sun, and Jenny had gotten some color. And with her tan came the bright lines around her eyes, the ones she hadn't had since she sailed as a professional. Her hair was thick and wavy. She'd worn it down past her shoulders as long as anyone could remember. She was the type that, if she felt pressured or uncomfortable, quickly turned defiant, and in school she often got blamed for starting fights. But here on the boat she felt at home. She felt strong now. For the first time in ages, she liked how her husband looked at her. Karl Adam, who could win over almost anyone. He was not yet 40, and the first thing people always said about him was that he made you laugh. Yet beyond his joking, there was something larger than life about him, and not just because he was a big man. The years of overwork, red-eye flights, 5-course meals, and sauternes had gone straight to his waistline. He'd stopped playing golf several years ago, and tennis was out of the question. But he still needed the competition, so instead he'd pushed to become ever more well-informed, quick with the numbers, convincing in arguments. With his brusque smile, he was the one who closed the deals. It became a kind of relentlessness, his trademark, getting things his way in the end, driven to always be the best. Yet out here he accepted that he'd never come close to Jenny's level as a sailor. He'd started to lose weight, and he no longer made a nasty comment if she smoked a cigarette in the evening breeze. In Porto Salvo, they'd even left the children on board overnight and gone to a small hotel near the harbor. "They have the cell phone if they need us," Karl Adam said, when she hesitated for a moment. They hadn't felt this kind of fire in a long time, and they didn't just make love at night, but were also surprised by their desire for each other at dawn. Not sleepy caresses, but instead a force that took a hold of them. This wasn't dutiful lovemaking, it was pure sex for the first time in years. Back on the boat, Alexandra asked about the bite mark on Karl Adam's neck. They'd talked about it before, but not until they left Crete heading south did Jenny begin to worry. The Suez Canal and the Red Sea lay ahead, no dangers there, but then came the Gulf of Aden. They'd read about it. The pirates. Checklists in the sailing magazines, websites listing the latest attacks. Experts saying keep away from the obvious trouble spots and stay in close communication with Navy ships. Still, reading about it from far away was one thing. Sailing straight into it another. Karl Adam dealt with it in his own way. As usual, he preferred action, not just vague advice and relying on others. Alexandria was their last port stop in a big city. They tied up for a few days in the empty cruise ship harbor not far from the center. A little sightseeing for the whole family, a trip to the pyramids of Giza, and Karl Adam made his own little excursions in the city. He returned to the boat one evening carrying something slender wrapped in burlap. He glanced at the port guards through the windows before cutting the strings and taking it out. A Kalashnikov with 2 magazines and 400 cartridges. "Arab Spring," he snorted with contempt. "They're losing their grip. Would you believe it? This cost me only $200. $200! The object lying on the dining room table didn't convey the slightest sense of security. Dented wood and dirty metal, with a flimsy bayonet attached below the barrel and reeking of gun grease.